What's up, my bacon bits? This is Cheru-chan in Japan. So, I was looking at my channel and I realized that I hadn't put anything up in like a year. The thing is that the whole novelty aspect of Japan has really worn off for me. Like, it had worn off before I even got here this past time. The reason is that I've already lived in Japan before I came here this past time. I'd already seen a lot of the sights and gone a lot of the places. From being here so long, I'm a bit more blasé about various things. It sounds kind of bad. I like living here, it's just not something that's new and exciting for me anymore. It's something I'm a lot more settled into, and that's why for the past year, 2 years, I haven't really been updating the channel that much. So because of that, I was thinking I might maybe gear this towards more of a vlog kind of channel. I'm not sure exactly how that's gonna go, but for now I guess I'll give it a try. So yeah, maybe I'll make a few videos, see how it goes. And if not, well, I tried. The thing I want to talk about today is food. Not Japanese food, but finding the food of your country in Japan. Something that I want to point out is that this is from an American point of view. So if you're from a different country, especially one where the culture hasn't really come into Japan, these things might not work for you necessarily, so just be aware of that. So the first thing I want to talk about is international markets. International markets you'll find in bigger city areas. I'm just outside of Nagoya. We have a pretty good one. We might have more, I'm not quite sure, I haven't checked. If you're kind of in the Inaka countryside, 20 minutes to get to the closest grocery store kind of place, you're probably not going to find one. If you are fortunate enough to live in an urban area, there'll probably be at least one, and you should probably look for it because it's definitely worth it. It's kind of like an experience. Not only do you find food that's from your own country, but you get to like see foods from other countries and maybe try them, like hobnobs. I love hobnobs. I'm pretty sure we don't have these in America. I think they're British food. I think it's a biscuit. I think it's a British food, something. Anyway, I love them. They're awesome. And if I'd never gone to an international market, I never would have gotten to try them. So it's pretty good to see foods from other countries, get to try them out too. I do want to mention though that international markets, since they're specialty stores, they tend to be pretty expensive. So I'd watch how much you're buying at an international market because it can get really pricey really fast. I definitely wouldn't do my weekly grocery shopping there. But if there's something that you're craving, you just have to have it, in an international market, it'll probably be your best bet, especially for things that you're not finding in other stores. The next thing I want to talk about is Seiyu. I've heard that this is just a Kanto thing, even though I live in Chubu. Seiyu is like the Walmart of Japan. Seiyu is actually owned by Walmart. So that's why you can find a lot of American foods at Seiyu. Great Value, I believe, is Walmart's in-store brand name. And you find a lot of those products at Seiyu. For example, the giant cans of Parmesan cheese. I can only find those at Seiyu, but it's because it's the Great Value brand. They've imported that from the American Walmarts. So you'll be able to find a lot of more Americanized foods at Seiyu and more American brands as well. Compared to an international market, it might not have as many things, but in terms of price, it's gonna be a lot better. So if you can find it at Seiyu, that's gonna be your best bet, I think. The next thing I want to talk about is finding recipes online, and I'm sure plenty of you already do this, but finding recipes online, it's awesome. Particularly finding recipes for things that you used to buy. And unfortunately, it's a bit of a hassle because you actually have to make the thing instead of just like putting it together. But it's definitely better than nothing. Finding recipes online, for example, for things, like I said, you used to buy, like macaroni and cheese, or mix for Sloppy Joe, or things like that. Things that you used to buy prepackaged, and looking for recipes for those things online. One thing you need to be aware of is that you might not be able to make every recipe, especially given that you're going to have limited resources to work with. Not all your ingredients are going to be available here, so be aware of that. What you're going to want to try and look for are very simple recipes, or recipes with ingredients that you know you can get here. For example, my Sloppy Joe mix that I make is just ketchup, mustard, garlic powder, and brown sugar. And it tastes great. Tastes like Sloppy Joe's, but just very simple things that are really common to buy here. So try looking for recipes like those, or recipes that you can substitute easily for ingredients that are easier to find here. Next on my list is getting someone to send you stuff, and this is kind of low on my list just because I don't really like people to send me things. It's inconvenient for both you and them, and it's pretty expensive, so I don't like to do it too often, but it's definitely an option. Definitely, you're going to find all the things that you know where to find them a lot easier than you will in the stores here. And things that you just don't find here, obviously you can get a lot of those a lot easier by having someone send you things. Again though, you want to keep in mind, it's really expensive. Think of, is it really worth your time and effort and money and their time and effort to get this thing to you? If it's something you really want, then go for it, but you're not going to want to have someone sending you something like every week. That's just not practical. Next is finding restaurants from the country you're from, like chain restaurants. This also hits rather low on the list, and the reason why is because often it doesn't work. For example, places like Denny's or Big Boy, they have those restaurants here, but they're not really those restaurants. They're Hamburg restaurants, or Hamburg steak restaurants. They're not go at 3 a.m. and get yourself some pancakes, or having awesome fish and chips or anything like that. They do have very good food at those places, but they're just not what they are in America. So oftentimes it's gonna be misleading. So if you find a Western restaurant, definitely check it out and see how it is, but count on it being Japanese style, not whatever your country's restaurant is. And if all else fails, McDonald's. McDonald's is the same like everywhere. So if you're really craving something from your country, go with McDonald's. You can't lose. The last thing I want to talk about is acceptance. You need to accept the fact that you're not always going to find the things you want here. It would be good for newcomers to realize this before coming to Japan. I know that some of you out there are just like, oh, that's okay, I'll just eat all the yummy Japanese food, and it's great that you like Japanese food, and it's great that you want to eat it, but eventually you'll get sick of it. Sometimes you just want to have something from your own country. it would be better to realize that now and come to terms with that now before coming to Japan. Then you get here and you feel, oh, I'm so homesick because I can't have this or that food. It would be good to realize that now and realize sometimes you're just not gonna want to eat Japanese food. Being around it all the time, I mean, yes, Japanese food can be delicious and there are a lot of different things to have, but sometimes you just want a freaking burger, or like you just want something that you always used to have. And there's also the element of not being able to have it that kind of exacerbates that feeling. The fact that you can't just go to the store and buy what you're craving, or you can't just get the ingredients and make it. That definitely makes cravings for food a lot worse. So definitely eat Japanese food, try Japanese food, but also prepare yourself for ways to get food that you commonly eat that you might think you'll have a hard time going without, and realizing the fact that you might not be able to get some things here. So those are just some things that have worked for me living here for 2 to 3 years. If you have some other suggestions that I didn't mention, leave a comment. That's all for me on this topic. Hopefully I'll be out with more soonish. I might set a date for doing these, I might not. I might do these more consistently, I might not. But if nothing else, this one's out there. So, yay. Great. I'll see you next time.